Madam President, over the course of this partial government shutdown, we've seen our Democratic colleagues engage in increasingly acrobatic contortions in order to dodge a serious conversation about the urgent humanitarian and security crisis down at our southern border. Their refusal to come to the negotiating table has serious implications for the hundreds of thousands of federal workers going without pay, and for all Americans who deserve a nation that can secure its own border. Along the way, we've heard that the new funding of any sort, a border barrier, even the kinds that Democrats have supported so recently and so often, would now be, quote, an immorality? An immorality? We've heard serious proposals brushed aside with joking offers of $1 to address the critical issue. We've even heard frank admissions that 30 days from now, there would be no progress toward an agreement on border security, even if the government were reopened. Under normal circumstances, we would expect lines like these from the farthest left organizers and most vocal liberal protesters. But these are not normal circumstances. And these are the words, believe it or not, of the Speaker of the House, the gentlelady from California, Nancy Pelosi. It's unclear exactly what the Speaker, when the Speaker made the determination that the explicit requests of the men and women who secure our borders and the safety of American communities would take a backseat to the political whims of the far left. That the border security efforts towards which Democrats have agreed to direct billions of dollars in the past have transformed overnight into something evil. But here we are, day 25. We know the new and unreasonable position of the Speaker of the House. So here in the Senate, my Democratic colleagues have an important choice to make. They could stand with common sense, with border experts, with federal workers, and with their own past voting records, by the way, or they could continue to remain passive spectators, complaining from the sidelines as the Speaker refuses to negotiate with the White House, and ensure our nation keeps going round and round and round this political carousel. It's up to our colleagues on the other side of the aisle. Now, on another matter, the substance of the border security issue is not the only subject that is occasioning a spectacular display of inconsistency from my colleagues across the aisle. You recall, Madam President, since last week, the apparent position of Senate Democrats has been that the Senate itself cannot engage in any of the people's business until the government funding is resolved. Democrats have held this position so dogmatically that 3 times now they voted against advancing a bipartisan and urgently needed package of legislation that concerns Israel, Jordan, and the civil war in Syria. It's been the Democrats' very own Senate shutdown. On top of the partial government shutdown they're prolonging. What about our ally Israel? What about the innocent people of Syria? I guess they're just out of luck. Just out of luck. Democratic leader has made clear they'll just have to wait. Just have to wait. Until he decides to end his filibuster of these bipartisan bills, which until last week, by the way, he supported. It's a bizarre position, truly bizarre position. It's directly contradicted the stated foreign policy views of many of our Democratic colleagues, but this has been the Democratic leader's position. Filibuster the expanded assistance for Israel, filibuster the new consequences for giving aid and comfort to the Assad regime as it butchers its own people. That's what the Democratic caucus has overwhelmingly voted to do on 3 occasions. But now, we're informed that it was all just a farce. The Democratic leader actually doesn't mind doing other business, because he now intends to bring a privileged and political stunt of emotion relating to the administration's use of sanctions against Russia. So now, Madam President, at least we know the score. Our Democratic colleagues don't really object to Senate action as such. They just object to debating a bipartisan package of bills to reinforce our support for Israel, help Jordan stand firm amidst regional chaos, and take action to hold accountable those who have tortured and murdered countless Syrian civilians. There's no reason this bill shouldn't sail through Congress and be signed by the President. A bipartisan bill to support Israel, defend Jordan, and provide justice for innocent Syrians. That's what the Democratic leader is filibustering. But a partisan motion on an unrelated foreign policy issue, oh, he's perfectly happy to see it come right here to the floor for a vote. Like I said, Madam President, at least we know the score. So here's my commitment to Israel and to Jordan and to the Syrian people. I will continue to force these cynical tactics into the light of day. Democrats may vote a 4th time or a 5th time to filibuster these bipartisan bills, even as they turn the Senate toward other business. But Republicans will not abandon the need for American leadership in the world. So now, on one final matter, today our colleagues on the Judiciary Committee will begin nomination hearings for William Barr, the distinguished public servant President Trump has asked to serve as the nation's next Attorney General. Certainly no one needs me to explain all the reasons this is a vital position. The Department of Justice is charged with duties such as protecting Americans' civil rights, defending the public order to which citizens are entitled, and upholding the time-honored tradition that the United States of America is a nation governed by law. So it is the nation's good fortune, our good fortune, that the President has selected such a completely qualified and thoroughly prepared leader to fill this vacancy. First and foremost, of course, is the fact that Bill Barr has served in the position before as Attorney General under President Bush 41 in the early 1990s. He fulfilled his oath and led the Department of Justice with honor and with skill. He was widely regarded as a capable administrator and as a strong, independent, and principled advocate for fairness and for following the law. His tenure confirmed the great confidence that Republican and Democratic senators had all placed in him when they confirmed him to that position unanimously. Democrats controlled the Senate in 1991. Democrats controlled the Senate in 1991. That's when he was confirmed. Because of Bill Barr's obvious credentials and unquestioned reputation, confirmed him on a voice vote. Boy, those were the good old days. Amid the proceedings, our distinguished colleague, Senator Leahy, expressed confidence that Mr. Barr would, quote, be an independent voice for all Americans. Then Senator Joe Biden, chairman of the Judiciary Committee, put it this way at the time, quote, he's a heck of an honorable guy. 28 years ago, leading Democrats were practically heading up to the Bill Barr fan club. And his subsequent service proved they made the right call. In fact, Madam President, this nominee has been unanimously confirmed by the Senate 3 times. 3 times. Before serving as Attorney General, he worked as an Assistant Attorney General and a Deputy Attorney General. In no case did even a single senator identify a good reason to oppose his confirmation. 3 times, unanimously. So it's beyond safe to say that Mr. Barr is eminently qualified and widely respected. I look forward to his testimony today and to the testimony of those who know him and his work. I hope every senator will afford Mr. Barr the fair consideration he so obviously deserves.